CITB in Scotland, in partnership with SBATC, developed skills tests on behalf of the construction industry. It's the final part of your apprenticeship, and you need to pass this to become a qualified craftsperson and achieve your SVQ. Passing your skills test should not be too difficult. It's a way of proving that you're capable of doing your job, and if you are, you should be able to pass the test. So here's what you need to know. You will sit your skills test within the last 6 months of your apprenticeship. There are test centres throughout the country, maybe even in your college, and both you and your employer will get plenty notice of where and when your test will take place. At college, you're assessed all the time on what you've learned, and the skills test is just another assessment of your knowledge and hand skills. The only difference is that this test has been designed by CITB, SBATC, and employers. The test has various elements, and all are things you have been trained and tested on before in your phased tests and other assessments in college. Skills tests are based on skills required to perform the sorts of tasks commonly used on sites. This proves to employers that you can work competently to commercially acceptable standards and at a reasonable speed. If you don't pass your skills test, you will struggle to find another job as a qualified craftsperson, or even get onto a site. It's really important that you do as much as you can to prepare for your test. You should download the Test Candidate Guide from the CITB website to familiarise yourself with the content of the test. You also need to make sure you carefully read the joining instructions you've been sent. You should speak to your employer as soon as possible if you feel you need any refresher training, so that on the day you are confident and have the ability to pass. Make sure you know where your test centre is and how long it will take to get there. If you don't live near a test centre, don't worry, CITB and your employer will help you sort this out. On the day of your test, timekeeping is really important. If you are late, you won't be allowed to start the test. You'll be asked to prove who you are at the test centre, so you'll need to take photo ID with you. You also need to take your tools to the test. You'll get a list of what's needed from CITB. Don't forget to bring and wear the right personal protective equipment. If you don't, you'll be refused permission to sit the test. Before you start, you'll get a detailed induction, and you'll be given a test booklet containing a description of the test. It's important that you read the information for each task before starting. Each task has a description, drawing, and a list of the standards and tolerances that must be met in order to pass each element. What it doesn't tell you is how to plan the work, so you have to arrange your own work program. Only after you have read these notes and feel confident in what you have planned should you attempt the task. On the day, you will be allocated a test area and a stock of materials you need. If you're unclear on any aspect of the test, please ask the invigilator for advice. That's what they're there for. For your carpentry and joinery skills test, you have 8 hours over 1 day to complete the test, and you must attempt all tasks in the test booklet within the allocated time. The carpentry and joinery tests are carried out on specially designed rigs. The rig is your test area and incorporates a number of tasks you must attempt. The test consists of the following 5 areas: fitting and fixing a mortise latch and latch set. You need to mark, fit and fix a mortise latch and latch set to an inward opening door to a specified height shown on the drawing. Fixing a door lining. You have to fix a softwood door lining into the rig's door opening using folding wedges and screw into the timber framework. Hang a door to a rebated frame. You have to hang a door to the rebated frame on the test rig, making sure that it is hung to the hand shown on drawing. You will fix skirting to the skirting unit on the test rig, fixing it directly by nailing it to the timber grounds on return end of rig and returning it to the floor and the wall. Cut and fix canopy members. For many, this is the most challenging part of the test. You will be asked to cut and fix canopy members onto the test rig with the plywood-faced wall plates already fixed. Remember though that this exercise only involves the everyday basic skills like measuring, setting out, cutting and fixing. You'll measure the length of the hip using a measuring rod to the corner of the plywood-faced wall plate before cutting the corner to expose the pre-cut end of the wall plate. Using the sliding bevel, you'll transfer cuts from the bevel sheet for the canopy members. The assessment process. Once you're finished and left the test centre, your test is marked by an independent assessor appointed by SBATC. They use a marking schedule which contains the same standards and tolerances as the test booklet you were given. They then record whether you have met the required standards for each point. Your test result will be either a pass or fail. There is no grading system, but you will be given your score later in a letter. There's a national standard of testing in all test centres throughout Scotland, so it doesn't matter where you sit your test. It's the same test and test conditions for everyone. There's a part where you have to fit a tubular mortice latch. The assessor will check if the latch engages properly within the striking plate. The movement of door should not exceed 1 mm when closed, and all parts should be flush and within given tolerances. You will also be assessed on how you fitted a door lining within the rig. For example, they would check that the face and edge of the lining are plumb to within 3 mm, and that the head of door lining is level, and the face flush with steel framework. When assessing how you've hung the door, the assessor will check there is a clearance of 2 mm between the door and frame. The permitted tolerance is between 0.5 and 3.5 mm. On another part of the rig, you will be assessed how you fitted and fixed the moulding skirting. The assessor will check there is no overlap over 2 mm at the extreme ends of the miter joint and no doctoring of miters. During the test, you will have cut and fix roof canopy members. The assessor checks that the seat, plumb and bird's mouth cuts are within tolerance of plus or minus 3 mm. They also check that the top of the jack rafters finish flush with the hip. Also checked are the distances between the rafter centres and that the rafters are parallel. During your test, a sliding bevel is used to take correct angles from the instruction booklet. Using these given angles, the plumb cut can be marked and sawn. Now you should have an idea of the test and the standards required. After the assessor has marked your test, the schedule is then sent electronically to CITB. CITB then check that your marks are within the pass limit agreed by the industry, and if they are, you pass. You and your employer will then receive a letter confirming this in the coming week. If you fail your skills test, your letter will explain in what areas you need further supervised experience on site, and possibly further refresher training in college. An application form to arrange a resit will be sent out, but you can also download it from the CITB website. However, it's important that, before booking a resit, you think about the areas you failed in and why. If you think you need more experience or training, speak to your employer or apprenticeship officer to arrange this. If you have only failed in one particular element and passed the rest, in some occupations, you may get the opportunity to take a partial resit. This involves only resitting that section. Once you have passed your skills test, you still have to complete the time served element of your apprenticeship to be a fully qualified tradesperson. Your SBATC registration form shows the date in which you will complete your apprenticeship. By this time, you should have achieved your Professional Development Award, core skills, and all other units of your SVQ. This, combined with passing your skills test, means you would then receive final certification for your SVQ Level 3 and Modern Apprenticeship. You'll be fully qualified to work on a site in any country in the world, help you get any future employment, or even start your own business. Finally, good luck when it's time to take your skills test. If you need any further information on skills testing, please look at our website, citb.co.uk.